Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Curtis, and today I'm going to recap episode 4 and episode 5 of She the People. I do want to point out that episode 4 was not that eventful, so I'm actually going to do a small recap of episode 4 before getting into episode 5. So as far as episode 4 is concerned, we see Lola, she's getting ready for her gymnastics competition. In this episode, we actually find out that Shamika does not believe that Cyrus is Titus's real father. Antoinette and Shamika, they are trying to go over plans and trying to figure out how they could get Antoinette through the door without, being too pushy and her becoming too, dominant. And then also after the competition in which Lola doesn't really do that great of a job, she reveals that she never really she wanted to do gymnastics, but she fell out of love with it, but she continued doing it because her mom liked it. And they all pretty much agreed that she should not do it because she's really not that good at it. And that was pretty much episode 4. Going into episode 5, it actually starts off with Jed walking into the office where we see Shamika and Michael. He inquires about Antoinette's whereabouts because the governor actually wants to see her. Shamika tells Jed that Antoinette is not available at this time. Jed counters this by telling her that he actually knows Antoinette's schedule, in which Shamika tells him that she really does not care. Shamika goes on to say that the governor is going to have to wait on Antoinette the same way Antoinette had to wait on him. Jed storms off. After this, Michael tells her that, she really should tell Antoinette what's going on and that the governor wants to talk to her in case it's something important. Shamika goes into Antoinette's office and asks her if she had a chance to view her schedule. Antoinette tells her that she did, and it looks like she just has to go to like an Apple event. Michael, he creeps his head in and tells Shamika that he needs to tell her what's going on. Shamika tells her that the governor actually wants to see her. Antoinette is delighted, but she's a little skeptical. She tells Antoinette that she needs to make him wait, in which Antoinette, she agrees initially, but then she gets up and she's like, no, I need to go to the governor's office, and she actually rushes into the office. Once she gets into the governor's office, she attempts to sit down, but the governor says, did I tell you can sit? So she's standing up awkwardly before she sits down, and then at this point, he decides to call her a good girl or a good old girl. That was annoying, but then I had to remember this is a Tyler Perry production. She then tells him that she's been trying to be with him for a very long time. He tells her that he has been busy getting things done. She counters this by saying that he is not getting enough done. He tells her that he will take care of the things that she needs at a later time before offering her a cigar. She declines. He tells her that, a little lung cancer never killed anybody, and then he starts coughing really bad and tells Jed to fan him. He inquires about what she wants to talk about. She attempts to bring up, what she wants to talk about, but he is constantly interrupting her, just being rude. She eventually gets to talk and tells him that she wants to discuss her assignments, and she also wants to discuss her staff members. She wants to make some changes and be more involved. Jed and the governor then cut her off and tell her that her time is up. And they actually start mimicking her from that pig squealing contest, or the pig hollering contest, I'm sorry. That was in a previous episode, and I was like, oh, Antoinette. I felt so bad for her. After that conversation, Antoinette, Shamika, Cleo, and Michael arrive at the Apple event. Henry walks up to them and hands Antoinette a shovel. Cleo is curious as to why he gave her a shovel. Antoinette tells her that this is actually a groundbreaking ceremony for Apple Orchard. Antoinette is then introduced to the crowd. To no response, it is dead silent. She mentions the governor and everyone begins to cheer. She tells him that she is happy to be at the groundbreaking ceremony for the new Apple Orchard. And the crowd is actually confused because they thought that this was an event for Apple, the company. So they were under the impression that they were getting some type of tech hub, tech community. But instead they're getting a plant or an Apple Orchard. And so they began to complain. They began to get upset because they were promised something different. And then they also mentioned, I thought this was very important, they mentioned that they actually sold part of their land in order for this to be, in order for this to happen. She attempts to defuse the situation by telling the crowd that not only does she support the project, but that the governor supports the project, in which people, they disagree. They're like, there is no way that the governor would do this. This has to be something that you've only done. There's no way they can do this. And at this point, she's getting overwhelmed, right? She's overwhelmed. She doesn't really know what's going on. She wasn't really even briefed on the situation. She turns around and Henry pretty much says, hey, you need to keep going, you need to keep going. And at this point, she tries to just speed up the process. She tries to put the shovel into the ground just to get it over with. Unfortunately, she doesn't really know how to work the shovel or how to get the shovel into the ground. And so now people are like, she doesn't even know what she's doing. She doesn't even know why she's here. And so now they're really getting irate. And I felt bad for her in this moment because I'm just like, dang, it's nothing worse than people seeing you not knowing what you're doing, right? And so, as I was saying a little bit earlier, the crowd, they are getting very irate. And at this point, they all decide, you know what, it's time to leave before something bad happens. In the car, Shamika and Cleo tell her that the governor and Henry, basically, they're trying to set her up. Antoinette plans to have a conversation with the governor. Back in the office, Henry comes into the office and tries to lighten the mood. Shamika actually starts confronting him and going off on him. Henry tells them that he does not want Cleo to come to any more events, and which Shamika counters that by saying that, well, maybe you shouldn't invite Antoinette to any more of these events that are designed for her to fail. Henry tells her that those events are pretty much designed for the lieutenant governor and that the actual governor would never go to any of these events. Antoinette is curious if the governor actually promised those people that computer center, because if we go back to what I was saying a little bit earlier, the people thought they were getting this tech hub or this computer or this technology center within their town. Henry, he attempts to lie about it, but Shamika, she actually pulls it up on her phone, and we actually find out that the governor did promise them this computer center or this, technology center in their community. And so that is definitely messed up. Antoinette wants to know where the governor is. Henry tells her that right now the governor is in the northern part of the state because there was some flooding that happened. After this, he tells her that, the governor has plans to meet with other governors in surrounding states because they want to talk about this pipeline that they're trying to bring to the state. Henry then brings up the fact that the governor is having dinner around 7, but Antoinette is not able to go, and she's like, why can't I go to this dinner? Henry tells her that she will not be able to attend the dinner because she actually has to meet with a couple of pastors later that day. Antoinette, Shamika, and Michael, they go meet the pastors. One of the pastors tells her that he thought that he was actually going to meet with the governor, that he actually wants to speak with the governor. But Antoinette pretty much says that, speak with me is basically speaking with the governor. And that one pastor that I was telling you all about, he actually says something along the lines of, basically like she's a puppet and she's only there to carry the governor's water. I thought that was a bit much. But based on some of the things that Antoinette's been doing, like the pig squilling thing and some of the things that she's been involved with, I can see, how he could have came to that conclusion. And then at this point, the pastors collectively ask her, what is her plan? And she begins stumbling over her words. And then someone pretty much says, she probably doesn't even know why she's here, which she doesn't know why she's there. And she actually continues to stumble over words before revealing, she's not really sure there was a mix-up as far as the plans. So why don't you all just tell me, what's going on, just fill me in, and then we could take it from there. It is at this point that one of the pastors speaks up and they say that 47 other members who are elderly are going to be displaced by a pipeline that's coming through. And they all pretty much say that they do not mind having the pipeline come through the area, but they just want the pipelines to be moved 2 miles north of where it is now, because the pipeline is pretty much going through low-income areas in which people like us live. And so they pretty much just want to move out the way so that no one is displaced. And then it's at this point, and I thought this was quite interesting, that he's not really a pastor, I guess, but Reverend Jones speaks up and he actually disagrees with what they are saying. And this actually causes everyone to pretty much get up and leave. And then someone says something along the lines of, I knew you were in the bed with the governor. And I was like, that's interesting. And so after the majority of them leave, Reverend Jones, Antoinette, they're sitting down, they're talking, and he's basically telling her, like, don't worry about it, it's okay. I'm going to get everyone on board, so the governor, don't worry about it, I got his back. And, Antoinette's just like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah, I'm going to make sure I get everybody to change their mind and just let the governor know that he has my full support. And I thought that was very interesting. Antoinette, Shamika, Michael are in the car, and Antoinette tells Shamika that she is going to get as much information as she can about the pipeline. They arrive at the house, and Antoinette finds out that the pipeline is actually going to go through the poor communities in multiple states. And also that Reverend Jones, the guy that was saying that, he disagrees with what the other people are saying about moving it 2 miles north, that he's actually expected to make a lot of money from this deal, which would explain why he's so, let the governor know I'm on his side and he has my full support. So that explained why that happened. I was like, I guess I'm not surprised about that. And then it's also at this time that Shamika notices that there's a note on a jar of jam, and it appears to be from Michael. And I rolled my eyes at this part because I've seen this type of thing happen in TV shows so many times, so I already knew that it wasn't from Michael. But I was like, you know what, I'll just kind of play along with it. But the note is very flirtatious, it's very sexual. And because of this, Antoinette, she becomes uncomfortable because, as you all know, Antoinette is actually attracted to Michael. And this, of course, is not professional for her to be the lieutenant governor, attracted and possibly having sex with her driver. And so she basically says that she's going to have to let him go. And that's how the episode ends. I would like to thank everybody for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. If you all could, please like. If you all could, please leave a comment. If you all could, please subscribe to my channel. I will really appreciate it. I'm getting ready to get episode 6 up right now.
You lead me to paradise.